My wife came home late, smiling like nothing was wrong. But I'd already seen the receipts, emails, hotel bookings, and bank transfers. She used my money to fund her affair and thought I'd never catch on, and when she saw what I'd done, it was already too late. That was me, Thomas F. Reynolds, 38 years old, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Civil engineer. Quiet guy. Not flashy, not dramatic. Just a good man who worked hard, loved harder, and never asked for more than he gave. And I got played like a damn fiddle. But before we get to the explosion, let me show you what the fuse looked like. Amanda and I met at a mutual friend's New Year's Eve party. She wore red heels and carried herself as she'd stepped off the set of a romantic comedy. We clicked fast. Too fast, maybe. She liked that I was stable and grounded. I liked that she was full of life until I realized later it wasn't life, it was adrenaline addiction. We dated for 3 years, then got married in a courthouse ceremony with 2 witnesses and a promise to do Europe someday. Amanda was a freelance designer, constantly juggling projects but never quite busy enough to explain her random absences or her sudden aversion to bank statements. We had a 2-bedroom place just outside the city. Quiet neighborhood, close to my office, close to her favorite overpriced cafe. We were building something. Or at least, I thought we were. We even opened a joint savings account. Started putting money aside for the big trip, her words. Maybe Rome. Maybe Paris. She said she wanted to stand in the Colosseum and kiss me at sunrise. Sounds like a dream, right? It was. Just not mine. The first crack came subtle. Amanda started retreating. No more, how was your day? No more sharing weird tweets or random Target finds. Just silence. And that phone, good lord, that phone. Like it was surgically fused to her hand. She used to leave it all over the house. Now it was on her like a weapon. Late nights got later. Excuses turned vague. Had to help a friend. Running errands. Meeting with a client. One night, she walked in at 10:47 p.m. wearing a silk blouse I didn't recognize and smelling like a cologne I knew wasn't mine. I asked if she'd had dinner. She said she had already eaten. That was it. I stared at her as she walked past me. Not even a kiss. Not even a glance. I knew something was off. I wasn't stupid. I just wanted to believe I was wrong. Then came the phone call. My buddy, Colin, a real estate agent, blunt to a fault, called me out of the blue. Tom, I didn't know if I should say anything, but I saw Amanda at Blue Bean Cafe 2 days ago. She was on the phone, laughing. Talking about keeping things discreet. Mentioned someone named Ryan. My blood ran cold. Ryan? We didn't know any Ryans. Or rather, I didn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay next to Amanda, who was curled up like a cat, snoring softly, and I wondered, how long had she been lying to me? And how far had it gone? I needed proof. Not guesses. Not whispers. Cold, hard proof. And oh, I got it. 3 days later, Amanda left her laptop open. She never did that. Not anymore. She was in the shower. The screen blinked to life with a new Gmail notification. I clicked. And there it was. A long thread of emails with a Ryan M. Flirty banter. Plans to meet. A PDF hotel receipt. From last week. Downtown. King Suite. One night. $218. My stomach twisted. My hands shook. But I screenshotted everything, emailed it to myself, and then cleared the history. I looked at her, towel around her shoulders, humming as she dried her hair. She had no idea. But soon she would. Very soon. After I found the emails, I didn't blow up. Didn't confront. Didn't rage. I got quiet. See, some men explode. Others calculate. And I'd spent 15 years as a civil engineer trained to measure twice and demolish once. I printed everything. The emails. The hotel receipt. Even a cached Instagram story Ryan had posted of the hotel lobby, thinking it was subtle. I had timestamps. Metadata. Location tags. Her phone calendar showed a client meeting that exact night. It was airtight. The next morning, Amanda was all sunshine and small talk. You want cinnamon in your coffee today? She asked. I smiled and said sure. She smiled back. No guilt. No hesitation. She was either the best liar on earth or just so used to getting away with things that she didn't care anymore. So I started watching her. Studying her. She'd hum in the kitchen, make casual jokes, ask about my projects like nothing was wrong. But I noticed more now. How she always had that damn phone flipped face down. How she flinched every time it buzzed. How her voice got softer when she stepped out for a call. I started checking the bank. Amanda had access to 2 accounts, our joint savings and my personal checking, which I'd been too trusting to fully separate. That was my mistake. But it wasn't one I planned to make twice. Turns out she'd been quietly siphoning money. $200 here. $500 there. A $1,000 Venmo transfer labeled art supplies. Art supplies my ass. She'd pulled close to $10,000 over 3 months. I was done being quiet. But I wasn't ready to confront her yet. Not until I had my next move lined up. So I went to a lawyer. A friend of Colin's, Rachel Kim. Sharp, no nonsense, used to handle construction disputes but dabbled in family law. When I walked into her office and dumped the stack of evidence on her desk, she raised an eyebrow. You want to divorce her? She asked. Eventually, I said. But first, I want to protect myself. She flipped through the pages like she was reading a recipe. You're sitting on a goldmine here. Textbook infidelity. Financial misconduct. This is enough to ruin her. I leaned forward. Good. Rachel got to work fast. We froze the joint accounts. Redirected my paychecks. Filed a quiet marital asset preservation order which legally locked up any accounts Amanda might try to drain. By the time Amanda realized what happened, I was already 3 moves ahead. She called me at work in a panic. Babe, the savings account isn't working. My card got declined. I played dumb. Weird. Must be a glitch. I'll check it later. It says the account's been frozen. I could hear her heart rate in her voice. Really? Huh. Maybe you should stop by the bank. She hesitated. You sure you didn't do something? Nope. Not that I recall. She hung up fast. And I sat back, sipping my coffee, watching the tower she built start to tilt. That night, Amanda came home early. She stormed through the door like a lawyer in a bad soap opera. You froze the account. I didn't deny it. I handed her a folder. Neatly labeled. Inside, every piece of evidence. She opened it. Her face paled. You went through my email? You slept with someone else. Silence. Just heavy breathing. Her mask cracked. It was a mistake, she muttered. Multiple nights in hotels? I asked. $10,000 of my money? That's not a mistake. That's a plan. She dropped the folder. So what now? Now, I said, you pack a bag. And you leave. She blinked. You're kicking me out? I already changed the locks. You've got 20 minutes. And just like that, the actress left the stage. When Amanda left, it wasn't with tears. It was with fury. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She snarled. She called me controlling, paranoid, heartless. Said I'd violated her privacy as if marriage vows were optional but email accounts were sacred. I didn't flinch. I handed her the duffel bag I'd packed with the essentials. Everything else will be handled legally, I said. You'll get a list. You'll get a mediator. But you won't get another dollar. That shut her up. She left that night in Ryan's car. I watched them drive off from the window like a scene from a telenovela. Him with a smug grin. Her trying to save face. My neighbors? Oh, they were watching. And I made sure of it. I timed her exit for 6:15 p.m. on a Thursday. Right as the street was full of dog walkers and retirees watering their lawns. Let the suburban rumor mill do its job. The next week was chaos, not for me, but for her. Ryan wasn't the savior she'd expected. Turned out he lived in a studio apartment above a vape shop in the next town over. I knew because she tried to come back. For days after leaving, Amanda knocked on my door like nothing had happened. This isn't fair, Thomas. Neither is cheating, Amanda. I made a mistake. You made plans. She broke down. Sat on the porch, sobbing. I didn't budge. Didn't invite her in. Just stood there like a bouncer outside the gates of my new life. Eventually, she left. And that was the last time she saw the inside of that house. I filed for divorce a week later. Rachel handled everything. The infidelity, the financial fraud, the asset protection, we had it all wrapped tight. Amanda tried to fight it, of course. Claimed emotional distress. Claimed I'd set her up. But the judge? He wasn't buying it. Especially not after Rachel presented a folder labeled Pattern of Deceit. Inside? Hotel receipts. Bank withdrawals. A screenshot of Amanda's message to Ryan that said, once the money's moved, I'll be done with him. Checkmate. The ruling was swift. I kept the house. Kept the accounts. She got her clothes, her laptop, and the 4 pieces of IKEA furniture she could prove she paid for. Ryan was not in court. I assume he was busy dodging bills or explaining to his landlord why Amanda moved in and ate all the cereal. The fallout didn't stop there. Amanda tried to do damage control on social media. Claimed mutual decision, said we'd grown apart. I let it sit for a week. Then I posted a single sentence. Infidelity isn't growth, it's rot. No tags. No names. Just truth. My inbox lit up. People reached out. Friends. Extended family. Even her ex-friends said we always thought something was off. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I wasn't looking for pity. I was reclaiming my name. In the middle of all this, I started to remember who I was before her. I rejoined my old gym. Started cooking again. I even went fishing with Colin for the first time in years. He looked over at me that morning on the lake and said, "You're smiling again." Like for real? And I was. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally stopped losing. 4 months after the divorce, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A real, handwritten letter on floral stationery, Amanda's attempt at nostalgia. It started with, "I hope you're well," and ended with, "I'll always love you." Everything in between was a cocktail of half regrets and subtle blame. She said she missed our partnership, that Ryan wasn't who she thought, and that things were complicated now. What she didn't say? "I'm sorry." Not once. I folded the letter, slipped it into the shredder, and went back to my life. I didn't respond. Because when someone betrays you and then wants you to pretend it was a misunderstanding, silence is the loudest truth you can give them. Later that week, I ran into her mom at the grocery store. Margaret was always polite, but distant. This time she was nervous. Apologetic. Thomas, she said, adjusting her purse strap. I just want you to know not all of us agreed with what Amanda did. We were shocked. And ashamed. I nodded. Thanks, Margaret. She's having a rough time, she added carefully. I raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Ryan left. She moved back in with us. She's looking for work. It's been difficult. I gave her a tight smile. Sometimes it takes losing everything to realize what you had. She didn't disagree. 2 weeks later, I got another letter. This one wasn't from Amanda. It was from Ryan. Typed. Formal. Cold. He accused me of overstepping boundaries, of interfering in a private relationship. Said I manipulated Amanda and caused undue harm. I laughed so hard that I nearly dropped my coffee. Then I forwarded it to Rachel. Her reply, tell him to send it to someone who cares. Preferably a therapist. That's when I realized something profound. They weren't just toxic. They were a performance. A shared delusion that love is a game and lies are just strategy. But I had left the game. And I was never going back. Instead, I leaned into the life I was building. I joined a local cycling group. Took weekend road trips. Reconnected with my cousin Liam, the one who used to be my best friend before Amanda drove a wedge there too. Turns out she told him I didn't want him around. He was furious when I told him the truth. She always made you sound like a recluse, he said. She didn't want anyone close enough to see the cracks. We shared beers and stories and finally put years of silence to rest. Around that time, I met someone. Not through apps or setups. Just organically. Her name was Elena. She worked at a local plant nursery. Smart, sharp-witted, and allergic to lies. She didn't ask about Amanda. She asked about my favorite tree. And for the first time in forever, someone was curious about me, not the version Amanda sculpted. We started slow. Coffee. Walks. She taught me how to keep succulents alive. I taught her how to read blueprints. It worked. Because it was real. By winter, my life had fully changed tracks. Elena and I had gone from coffees to cooking classes, from passing smiles to shared weekends. She'd bring me little cuttings from her greenhouse and I'd build her planter boxes with secret compartments just for fun. She never needed to be dazzled, she just wanted the truth. And after everything I'd lived through, that was the rarest, most beautiful thing in the world. One snowy Sunday, we were building a fire together when she turned and asked, "Do you still think about her?" I didn't pretend. Not in the way I used to. "Still angry?" she asked. "No," I said honestly. Not angry. Just reminded. Of how far I've come. And that was true. Amanda and Ryan were history. I didn't check up on them. Didn't stalk their socials. I had no interest in ghosts. But life, as it often does, finds ways to remind you. It started with a voicemail. A number I didn't recognize. A woman's voice, breathless, urgent. "Thomas. I'm sorry to call out of nowhere. This is Sheila, I'm Ryan's ex. Or was. I just wanted to say something. I found your name through some old court documents. He's done this before. With me. With Amanda. I just thought you deserved to know he's not just a cheater. He's dangerous. Take care." That was it. Less than 30 seconds. But it landed hard. Not because I feared him, but because it confirmed what I'd always sensed. Ryan was a pattern. A repeat offender. A man who spun chaos and called it connection. Amanda hadn't been seduced. She'd been baited. Willingly. And now she was just another name on his timeline of damage. I told Elena. She didn't flinch. "You're not him. You never were. That's why she lost you." We sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. Snow fell. I realized then I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. And I had it. A month later, I published an article. Not about Amanda. Not about Ryan. About financial abuse in relationships. I told my story anonymously. How joint accounts can be misused. How trust can be weaponized. It went viral. Emails poured in. Men, women, young, old. People saying, "Thank you." I thought I was the only one. And for the first time, I realized that what I went through wasn't just betrayal. It was an experience. Hard-earned. Sharpened into something useful. One evening, as Elena and I watched the sunset from our back porch, she took my hand and said, "You turned pain into purpose." And I smiled. Because I had to. Or else the pain wins. She kissed my cheek. It didn't win. No, didn't. I had. Spring came early that year. The days stretched longer. The air warmer. And for the first time in ages, I felt like I was living forward. Not surviving, not recovering, but truly living. Elena and I planted a small garden out back. Tomatoes, basil, a stubborn lavender plant that refused to die despite our best efforts. Every morning, I'd make coffee while she watered the plants. We moved in sync. No drama, no suspicion, just quiet, earned peace. Then came the phone call. Blocked number, straight to voicemail. But the voice unmistakable. "Amanda. Hey, I know I don't have the right to reach out. I saw the article. I knew it was you. And, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. You didn't deserve what I did. What I took. I lost everything, and I know now that it was never about Ryan. It was about me being selfish, scared, ungrateful. I hope you're okay. I hope you're happy. That's all." She hung up, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something new when I heard her voice. Nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not regret. Just nothing. Elena found me sitting on the back porch that evening, holding the phone. "That looks as a ghost came calling," she said. I nodded. "Amanda, you okay?" I shrugged. I thought I'd feel something, but I don't. And weirdly, that feels like closure. She squeezed my hand. "You earned that." Later that night, I listened to the voicemail one last time. Then I deleted it. That was her truth to carry now, not mine. 2 weeks later, the nonprofit I'd helped build asked me to speak at a local seminar. Topic: financial empowerment after betrayal. I stood in front of 50 strangers and told my story, not to shame, not to vent, but to show what survival looked like. I talked about trust, about protecting yourself, about the difference between forgiveness and foolishness. People cried. People clapped. One woman came up to me afterward and said, "You made me feel seen." And in that moment, everything made sense. Amanda had stolen money. Ryan had stolen time. But I had taken it all back and turned it into something better. 6 months later, I stood in front of a mirror adjusting my tie. Not for court. Not for another confrontation. For my wedding. Elena stood across from me under a canopy of trees just outside Asheville, looking like a painting brought to life. No extravagance, no drama, just sincerity. Her smile could silence a storm. We kept it small. 40 guests. Home-cooked food. Genuine laughter. No one asked about Amanda. No one mentioned the past. Because that chapter was closed. This was the beginning of something honest. During our vows, Elena said, "You're the safest place I've ever landed. Not because you've never been hurt, but because you didn't let the hurt change who you are." That moment nearly undid me, because she saw what I fought for, to stay kind in a world that tried to make me hard. Weeks later, I received one final message. A mutual acquaintance. Casual tone. "Amanda's left town. West Coast, maybe. No socials. Working part-time at a bookstore. Living with her aunt, I think." I read it, then deleted it. No curiosity. No second thought. She had faded into the background of my life, like static after a power outage. And that was exactly where she belonged. These days, my life moves slower and better. Mornings start with Elena humming in the kitchen and the scent of fresh coffee. We tend to our stubborn little garden. We make weekend plans that don't revolve around damage control. Love feels like breathing now. Steady, natural, unforced. Amanda once mistook chaos for passion. Elena taught me that calm can be just as powerful. Sometimes I reflect, not out of bitterness, but with perspective. I almost lost myself waiting for closure that never came. And the truth is, you don't need closure from the person who broke you. You need boundaries. You need courage. You need to choose yourself. When I did, everything changed. I didn't rebuild my life around revenge, I rebuilt it around peace. And peace is the kind of legacy no one can steal. Thomas didn't just catch a cheating spouse, he caught a life built on lies and rewrote every chapter. She took his money, tried to take his future, and left him with nothing but debt and heartbreak. But he didn't collapse. He calculated. He rebuilt. And he walked away with something she never understood, peace. Now here's a question for you. If the person you loved betrayed you and stole from you, would you forgive them? Or would you do what Thomas did and leave them behind without looking back? Tell us in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.